Persistent pain in part of your body, it's just an illusion really to keep you in a state that your body's been familiar with for such a long state of time. People often ask what they've done and to cause this and why it's happened to them and why. There's lots of unanswered questions. There's a logic to it. Put the emotion to one side. I understand it's painful. I understand it's unpleasant. I understand it has lots of different factors and can spoil people's enjoyment of their life. Look at the logic from an organism point of view. 50 trillion cells being overloaded during a time in life, during years of life, during one moment, and it goes into a state of protection. That protection state should just be short: fight, flight, freeze or fall. It copes with the environment, it deals with what's going on. It's mostly instinctual reactions, maybe with some knowledge of how to kind of manage that, but generally when it's so fast and so consistent, it's instinctual. It's meant to come out of that state with a thinking brain to say it's time, it's over, or other people to help and say it's over. If that doesn't happen, the organism stays in that state. It becomes habituated, it becomes familiar to stay in a state of alert. So if you take naught, if you think my state of alert now might be, I don't know, out of 100, maybe 20 or 30 as an arbitrary number. I'm not that bothered. I'm off today. I'm going to have a coffee, go out with my wife somewhere. If it's 100, you can imagine the situations there'd be 100 in my life, just like there'd be 100 in your life. And if it was in that state for a while, persistently, then the body automates that state, so it feels normal to be in that state. Now, some people have been brought up with a life like that. Some people have a childhood like they're living with the Waltons and it's a lovely family and everything's great. But even those children, there isn't a human being who hasn't had their needs met at some point in life. And your personality traits are sorted by the time you're 5. How are you going to deal with everything? How are you going to go through life? So you don't have to have had a traumatic childhood, but at some point something's caused the organism to stay in this state for too long, and that's pain or anxiety or symptoms jumping around, or the disease process that someone might have that isn't genetic. And there's not many genetic diseases around, and if there's a genetic predisposition that you may get a disease, and we all have those, what triggers it in that time of life? It's the environment in which we're in, or which we place ourselves in, or which we are circumstantially placed in. So there's always an opportunity to control the state of alertness. You may not be able to control the external environment, but if it's over now, you can start to reverse that state of alertness, and pain keeps you there. Pain thinks that's the best way. The organism thinks it's the best way. It's reacting to what it's always reacted to. So your prefrontal cortex, the you that is a thinking brain, over these 50 trillion cells, you can choose where to place your hand, to choose what words to say, choose to have your shoulders here or down here, or how fast to breathe. But you've got to overlay that into a system that doesn't think that's familiar. And the paradox is that unfamiliar things to this organism appear dangerous, and that includes safe things. That includes safe, calm, physiological states of 20 or 30 out of 100 when compared and looking down from somebody who's feeling and has felt for so long or on the edge. So you can't drag the nervous system down there. If you attempt to, it fights. If you force it or feel frustrated with it, it'll win all the time. It's an instinctual set of behaviours based on millions and millions of years of evolution. Your prefrontal cortex has been around for a couple of 100,000 years. It's like dragging a dog on a lead who doesn't want to go where it wants to go, where you want it to go. It's a fight, isn't it? People say, oh, I fight this pain. You're mistaken. I'm a warrior to this pain. You're mistaken. There's nothing wrong with the word warrior, but warrior shows real courage and calmness, not windmilling and dragging it and raising a badge for how hard you're fighting and I'm against this. That's activism. That's just keeping your position. True courage is to feel the pain, knowing that as you take your body into a calmer state, the pain will come back. It will raise its head again, because it's saying, are you sure that mechanism you're using now is better than the one we've got? Because this is the one you allowed us to have for so long, and the fear that you saw and thought kept telling us to go there. So as you exit or move away or move through towards a calmer mechanism, you are going to get pain that's not telling you there's new damage. It's not telling you you're a failure. It's not telling you there's actual danger. It's telling you, are you sure this mechanism of safety that you're now embodying is going to be more efficient, and you're going to use it consistently so the organism can let go of these old patterns. It takes practice. You have to know that you're going to feel pain and no longer react to it. It's just a familiar place that the pain's taking you back to, and you've got to get comfortable with being unfamiliar. It's a real challenge, but if you can move towards unfamiliarity, somewhere that might look scary and you move through it, it might feel painful and you move through it calmly rather than fighting it or pushing through it, then as you move through it, the sensations start to fade, because it becomes familiar that you're not going to react to the pain. The nervous system sees that it gives pain, you're like, no, we've got this, it's okay. You present a different set of behaviours, how you breathe, how you think, how you physically move, and the emotional state you are consistent with. It doesn't draw you back in. Calm, consistent, determined, moving through pain towards it, being okay if it flares, being okay if it comes when you didn't expect it, being prepared for it when you might expect it, not being too excited if it isn't there when you did expect it. Calm, consistent practice, and you break the pain habit.